Okay, let's be real. The zombie survival horror genre has been done a million times. From Resident Evil to The Last of Us to every open world zombie crafting simulator that tries to reinvent the wheel, you'd think we've seen it all. But Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days just feels different. And after spending hours creeping through Walton, Texas with my ragtag group of survivors, I can honestly say it might be one of the freshest takes on zombie survival horror we've had in years. Today, we're talking about Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, the latest entry in the long-running Into the Dead series. Now, if you remember the older games, they were more like endless runner shooters with zombies. Fun, arcadey, but definitely not this. Our Darkest Days is a full-on survival horror experience. So let's break down what makes this game special, what works, what doesn't, and if it's even worth your time playing if you're into zombie survival horror games, or if you're just over fatigued from all the other zombie games out there. Alright, let's talk about the gaming experience. The first thing you notice is the atmosphere. You're not some action hero with unlimited ammo running around blasting heads. No, you're just people. Ordinary survivors trying to stay alive in the middle of Texas, while the city slowly crumbles around you. The game has this side-scrolling perspective that almost feels claustrophobic. Every time I went into a building, I was sweating. Do I risk searching another room for food, or do I bail before the noise attracts a horde? That constant push and pull, risk versus reward, creates some of the most tense moments I've had in a zombie game. And it's not just about the zombies. The survivors themselves are the real heart of this game. They're not just nameless faces. They've got stories, traits, and flaws that help them with their chances of survival. Alright, let's talk about core mechanics. So, how does it play? At its core, Our Darkest Days is a survival management game. You're scavenging, rationing food, keeping morale up, and making tough calls. Do we use our last medkit on the injured survivor who pulls their weight, or save it for someone else? Do we move shelters now, or wait for another night? All of these decisions reminds me a lot of this War of Mine. Same vibe, same emotional gut punches, but with zombies. It's not about mowing down hordes, it's about enduring. And honestly, that's pretty refreshing. So if you've ever played The Alters, it kind of feels similar in the way that you're juggling multiple people with unique personalities and needs. In The Alters, you're cloning versions of yourself, each with different traits, and then managing their relationships and tasks. Here, it's different survivors instead of clones, but the tension is the same, keeping a group of flawed humans alive while everything tries to kill you. And on the flip side, it also reminds me of Fallout Shelter. You know how in Fallout Shelter you're building rooms, assigning dwellers, and constantly checking their health, hunger, and happiness? Yeah, well, Our Darkest Days feels like a darker, more grounded version of that. Instead of cute vault dwellers, it's terrified people trying not to starve. Instead of building gyms and diners, you're cramming into a crumbling apartment block and hoping it doesn't get overrun. Same management DNA, but way more bleak. There is also a day and night cycle, so daytime is usually for scavenging and nighttime is when the undead really swarm. So the tension ramps up fast and you're always on edge. Alright, so let's do a quick comparison with other games, and honestly, here's the best way to describe it. Alright, Resident Evil is about action horror and puzzles. The Last of Us is about cinematic storytelling. Project Zomboid is about overwhelming survival systems, and this War of Mine is about human suffering and choices. Now, what about Into the Dead? Well, Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, it's kind of like the best parts of this War of Mine and Project Zomboid, but stripped down and streamlined so that it's not overwhelming. In the end, it's more focused on story and atmosphere than micromanaging 1,000 stats. And speaking of story, the game isn't just about surviving day to day, it actually has a narrative structure. As you move through the city, you'll hit major story beats that push your group closer to escape. or closer to disaster. The choices you make matter, whether it's who to save, when to fight, or how to ration your resources. All of that adds up and changes the way the story unfolds. And sometimes you'll get dialogue scenes where survivors clash over your decisions, and you feel that weight. You're not really just keeping people alive, you're leading them, and every leader makes mistakes. And here's what's really cool. Our Darkest Days doesn't lock you into one outcome. The game actually has 4 different endings, depending on how you play and the decisions you make. Each one reflects the kind of survivor you were and how you led your group through the apocalypse. And honestly, that's the part of what makes the game worth replaying. Even after finishing it once, I immediately wanted to dive back in just to see how different choices would play out. Okay, now that we know what the whole game is all about, let's talk about the pros and the cons, starting off with the pros. The art style really brings you back in the 80s. The neon lights reel in that Stranger Things vibe. Plus, the insane sound design makes every groan of the undead feel like a real threat. Now that tension never really lets up. Second is that survivor dynamics are amazing. These aren't just NPCs, they're characters that you care about. If you're someone like me who gets attached to characters easily, watching and surviving them and basically rooting for them, or seeing them die really hits different. It really affects you. Third is that the survival management loop is addictive. Scavenge, manage, survive, repeat. It's all stressful in the best way. And lastly, it feels fresh. Honestly, in a genre that's been beaten to death, this feels like a new angle, and I really like that because it's what makes the game unique. However, it's not perfect, so let's talk about the cons. First up is that the pacing can feel slow. If you're someone who loves fast action, yeah, this isn't that. Sometimes, whole in-game days go by with very little happening except managing resources. Second is that the combat can feel a bit clunky. It's not really meant to be a combat-heavy game, but when you do have to fight, it doesn't always feel smooth. Third is that repetition sets in. After a while, scavenging can feel a bit repetitive. Different buildings, but same loop. It's tense, but it might not keep everyone hooked in the long run. And lastly, it's emotionally heavy. This isn't about a fun power fantasy story. No, it's bleak. If you're looking for escapism, this game can be draining, which, to be fair, is kind of the point. But yeah, that's not for everyone, right? And honestly, the whole time I was playing the game, I had this huge sense of dread. So yeah. So, Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. Is it worth playing? Well, if you're looking for a classic zombie shooter game, probably not. But hear me out. This isn't Left 4 Dead or Resident Evil. It's slower, heavier, more about the struggle than the action. But if you want a survival horror game that actually feels different, that makes you care about the people you're protecting, and that constantly has you sweating over every choice, then yeah, this is absolutely worth your time. It's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. It delivers something that not a lot of zombie games out there really delivers, and it's heart. Yes, you get attached to these characters in your party, and there's no second life. Once they die, they're dead. There's no second life. There's no resurrection. That really is it for them. And as a player, I think that really affects my way of playing the game when it comes to looting these buildings or going on these missions, which ones you send out. You really start to be cautious if you really want your entire party to survive and get the hell out of there. So I think that's what makes it really stand out for me. So if you've been feeling zombie fatigue, like you've seen every single story with the same gameplay loop recycled for 100 times, this game is absolutely worth checking out. It's tense, it's emotional, it's different. It makes you think about survival in a way that goes beyond just ammo and health kits. And by the end of it all, it makes you wonder if you can keep your group alive till the very end. If you want something that blends strategy, horror, and emotional storytelling, this one's definitely worth your time. So yeah, Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days is more than just a zombie game. It's a fresh spin that manages to stand out in one of the most oversaturated genres ever. Anyways, that's it for me. Sound off in the comments down below if you've played this game or if it's in your wish list. And if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for more updates. Once again, it's been me, Elaine from Destructoid, and I'll see you guys in the next one.